Help us understand where we are in the Brexit process and what that means for investments then. Are you concerned with the pound still around the 130 level? Are you concerned that markets are too complacent about a no deal?
I don't know if they're complacent. I do think there's two-way risk here. So obviously still probably the central case is we find some compromise, and I think sterling has some upside there. But clearly each day we have a sort of a meaningful event. We think we're going to get some sort of resolution, and it keeps getting pushed out. So I think, April 12 is looming large. It's getting closer, of course, day by day here. So I think, we're sort of on hold. It's hard, I think, for markets to go any particular direction until we have a little more certainty, because the range of potential outcomes is still pretty large.
Matt.
We did have yesterday. Zach Pandal was on, and he told us that instead of a prolonged stalemate or a chaotic no-deal exit, he sees a much softer Brexit solution coming through within the next few days. Do you also see that as more likely?
Yeah, I think it is the most likely outcome, Matt, but we saw it in the votes, the indicative votes last night in Parliament, just lost by 3, the idea of a customs union. So I think it appears that Parliament at least is getting closer to that. As we know, those votes are not legally binding. And we'll see today. Again, we're hearing that there's a big cabinet meeting taking place this morning, and we'll see where that leads as well. But I think still the central case is some form of softer Brexit, potentially with a much longer extension to implement that.
So when does this start to materially impact the gilt market, or do you think you see signs of it in there already from your assessment of what's going on in UK government fixed income then, Andrew? Because some have suggested that actually Brexit is being almost sidelined because of the global trend towards lower for longer interest rates. It's just there's nothing else in the fixed income markets at the moment apart from that.
Yeah, I think probably at the moment gilt yields are being driven as much by what's happening in the rest of the world, the Fed and the pivot that they've seen, partly because trying to work out exactly how the Brexit story plays out is very difficult. So I think if you're looking purely at that, you're probably just staying on the sidelines. That's certainly our view. Sterling is probably the asset, the UK asset, that's most reflective of sentiment around Brexit. And then the bond market is just looking to the rest of the world. The UK economy itself, if you could, get away from Brexit, we've still got incredibly low unemployment. So the UK economy looks okay underneath the surface. So I think, investors, people like us, we're really just on the sidelines. This is such a significant event, and trying to predict it at the moment, as we know, incredibly difficult.
So how many of your clients, or how much of your investing have you just taken off the plate as far as the UK? Are people just looking for opportunities elsewhere and just steering clear of the UK as an investment asset until after this is all cleared up?
Yeah, I think Matt, you want to distinguish between financial investments and longer-term capital investment that companies are making. I think from a financial point of view, certainly we think there are clearer opportunities elsewhere, whether that's in the US or Europe or another currency markets. I think if you look at the underlying numbers for investment, it's pretty clear that companies have really held off investing in the UK. And that's not at all surprising, given the uncertainty, not knowing what the future trade relationships will be, not just with the UK and Europe, but of course the UK more broadly. So I would distinguish between those two things, but I think from a financial asset point of view, it really is just in the too difficult bin. It's too hard to try and determine which way these politics will play out. And so I think, like many of our competitors, are really on the sidelines on the UK, just taking a sort of a wait-and-see attitude.